Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another retro review from past seasons of the Loud House. In today's video, we'll look at a Season 3 episode where no matter what you used to enjoy as a kid, we all reached a crossroads at some point in thinking we might be too old for childish things. Today's episode is titled, Deal Me Out. First we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. The episode begins with Lincoln and Clyde buying tickets for the upcoming Ace Savvy convention. After running into some of their classmates who say they outgrew Ace Savvy a long time ago, Lincoln and Clyde begin to wonder if they're getting too old to still be enjoying the one thing that brought them together when they were little. They get rid of all their Ace Savvy collectibles and tickets, and try to engage in activities they think would be more age appropriate. Not only do they find out these activities are not for them, but they secretly feed into their desire to keep Ace and Jack in their lives by sneaking off to do things related to their childhood heroes. Eventually, they admit they can't let go of their passion and decide to get their collectibles and tickets back. When they go to the convention, they see some of Lori's classmates and they find out they're Ace Savvy fans as well. Realizing they'll never be too old for the comic book, Lincoln and Clyde happily join Lori's friends for the rest of the convention. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. I know I've talked a lot about the Lincoln and Clyde centered episodes for a while, and I've never had a huge gripe with them, other than the writers defaulting to those two when there are many more deserving characters who could star in an episode once in a while. Be that as it may, I always try to appreciate their episodes, and usually they're never downright terrible. I can say with all confidence that not only is this episode one of the best of Season 3 and the entire series overall, but this is my personal favorite episode starring Lincoln and Clyde. I really enjoyed the story of this one because we've all been these two at that one pivotal moment in our lives where we begin to think we're getting too old to enjoy our favorite childhood things. They were worried that their friends at school and even Lori's school would make fun of these preteens for still liking Ace Savvy. Looking at how there were more younger kids seen with that guy in the Ace costume, their thoughts, feelings, and fears were exactly like mine at one point or another. Like me, Lincoln and Clyde still wanted to keep enjoying Ace, but without anyone knowing. Granted, I wasn't sneaking around with little kids to make it happen, but I always felt like I couldn't express my passions publicly out of fear of being teased. They definitely had the right idea of trying to do more adult things like fishing and trying to be mechanics, which, if you think about it, makes Lana more of an adult than a kid. If anything, what sealed the deal for me in this episode were two very important scenes. First, there were the flashbacks of Lincoln and Clyde as little kids. Their Ace and Jack costumes is what brought them together many Halloweens ago. Then, their friendship started to grow along with their love for Ace and Jack, and they both realized how special those memories were for them individually and collectively. That's how a lot of my friendships were formed both as a kid and as an adult. We used a common interest as a springboard to initiate conversation, and then slowly but surely, we built upon that, found more commonality, and then became friends for life. Call me a sucker, but I have no problem admitting those flashbacks were adorable and extremely relatable. That was enough for the boys to get their memorabilia back and go to the convention like they planned to all along, which is where my second big positive comes in. They meet Lori's teenage friends, and they're proud to say they were into Ace Savvy since they were 7 years old, and that they'll never be too old for their childhood superhero. The revelation lifted a huge burden off Lincoln and Clyde's shoulders, and I really felt that. Think about it. There are teenagers, young adults in their 20s and 30s, maybe even older, who go to all kinds of conventions. Star Trek, anime, Power Rangers, whatever it is. You don't just see little kids there, and you actually see more adults going there by themselves. As a personal example, I was worried going to my first anime convention many years ago, and I was scared someone I knew would see me and make fun of me. But then I encountered someone I knew, and it turned out they were just as passionate about the convention as I was. We were never friends before that day, but afterwards, we did become friends, and I've never been afraid to go to these kinds of conventions ever since. That's how Lincoln and Clyde felt at the end. They came to terms with something the more mature people would think is juvenile, and quickly realized they're not alone in sharing their juvenile interests. And I think that's one of the best messages you can take from this episode. Even if they were willing to get teased, Lincoln told Clyde to stand tall call and that they would get through this convention together. If you're brave enough to put yourself out there like that, it only means you care that much about something, and you just might end up making some new friends in the process. It's all worth it at that point. Overall, this episode is just too relatable. Much like Lincoln and Clyde, I have a lot of interests that helped shape my childhood and friendships over the years. Thomas and Friends, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, Littlest Pet Shop, pro wrestling, Pokemon, video games and anime in general, and just about anything you can think of. Whether it was in person or through social media, I always felt a little uneasy putting myself out there at first when it came to publicly displaying my interest that would be targeted towards someone other than myself. However, I always came to find out there were people my own age who liked the same things I liked, and went to public events just to express their true feelings. When you learn there are older people who aren't afraid of admitting their childhood passions, it makes you feel so much better knowing you don't have to keep your love for comic books or whatever a secret from others. But even if you're the only one who likes them, so what if your peers think it's immature? If it makes you happy, don't be afraid to pursue it. Trying to abandon things you're really passionate about just to fit in with others is only a denial of yourself, and you shouldn't try to take up something like fishing because you think you're less likely to get teased for it. Maybe you think differently, but as for me, I really like the Loud House, and I have no problem in saying I'm a fan of the show, and I don't care what people think. If those around you, including a good friend, want to make fun of you for it, I guess they're not really that supportive, and that's one less person to deal with. In short, you're never too old for the things that help define your childhood, and always remember, you're never alone. With that said, I give Deal Me Out a perfect 10 out of 10. Well, folks, that concludes my review of Deal Me Out. As of late, this is the last perfectly scored episode starring Lincoln and Clyde, and knowing how this story has played out in real life for someone like me, I don't think these two can ever get another episode that can match or exceed this one. But I'll cross that bridge if I ever come to it. So what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.